So I'm a little behind on my catching up on my videos. I'm gonna do the easy one first. Here's somebody asked about collision meshes, and I found out what causes the collision mesh to not be centered. Basically, you have an object, right? You have its center of origin here. When you make this cube, for example. Actually, let me say it like this: where this red line and this green line come together in this 3D world, there's also a blue line, but you only see it if you're moving something up and down. But basically, that's where everything intersects in the universe of Blender. Alright, that same point exists in BeamNG. So if you make this object like this, and then you move it over here, but you don't set the origin back, which, see, its origin is here still. If you say object set origin 3D cursor, now it's set to there. See, that matters when you scale something in the game, because see how this is scaling based on where that origin is? Alright, just pretend there's two of these. Alright, we got one here, and I'll duplicate and make a second one, and I'll just slightly offset it. I'll color this one like a different color, so this will be like the collision mesh, right, that you see. Oops, I duplicated it. I got to do it like this. Just make a second material. Oh, it is different. Okay, so you got that object here, and you got that object, which that one we set to the 3D cursor, right? This one will set its origin to the 3D cursor, but we're going to move it a bit. Actually, no, we're not going to move it. We're going to set the origin to the geometry, which is the center of the object. So that'll rotate here, and this will rotate here. So if we scale the one that's correct, larger, let's back up. And this was its collision mesh, and we scale it. Well, do you see the problem? It ain't, even though they're both together, they got different origins. So basically, anything you make, once you finally get it where you want it, whatever you're making, it don't matter. Just set the origin to the 3D cursor. That was what was causing problems with collisions, why things would not scale correctly. I can illustrate this. So we got these two boxes. This one I'll set to the 3D cursor. This one's origin, I'll set origin to geometry. So we'll export these individually. I'll just call one A and one B. Well, actually, which one's the, I'll call this one wrong, and this one will be right. That's the one that's set correctly. And we'll export them both into BeamNG, and export DAE. Alright, so in the art folder of the level I'm testing in here, it's small grid. I'm gonna make a new folder. Now I'll call this test origin. I don't know. No, test boxes. Don't matter. Just something. And this will be right. And I'll say selection only, so it only sends that mesh. And then this one, wrong, I'll export DAE. And that'll also be selection only. You don't want to send the light and the camera and all. That's why I always delete that stuff anyway. So let's load the game. And now this is the very basic way to do collisions where it is not um, using a collision mesh. You got to actually tell it to just use itself to be the collision mesh. And you can do that. I'm not a fan of using that though. If we go to our asset browser, let's go over here. Like this was yesterday's video that I didn't post. I just like, let me redo it. So that's what I'm doing now. Test. I call that box. What did I call that folder? Damn, I'm losing my mind. Export as test boxes. Oh, I didn't put it in the ARC folder. Well, it don't make a difference. You can still get to it. So that's the right one. That's correct. And this is the wrong one. That's not correct. Now, to enable collision mesh without actually having a proper collision mesh, you tell it to be visible mesh final on both of these. This is in the inspector window. Alright, once you do this, you can go to a window and go to ground model debug and pick static, because what that means is static objects. Now their collision meshes are correct now, because I haven't tried to scale them yet. But let's scale this one. Which one is this one again? Make sure this is the right one. So this one is right, and as you can see, its collision mesh is scaling right like it's supposed to. This one, however, is not right. As you can see, its collision mesh is nowhere to be found. Let me back up. Let me Control Z. Let me scale it again. Yep, see, it didn't scale. But where it is inside. Or where, well, actually, no, that was what that was. Yeah, I don't know. There it is. See how it's offset? See, now it's over here. And that was what I was illustrating. In Blender, basically when the origin's not set right, your collision mesh won't be right. See how it's off? Now fix that by just basically telling this thing, the one that's wrong here, this one, set origin to 3D cursor. Now we'll export it to DAE and re-import it in. Oh, I forgot. I got to turn that on. Right. I did export that, didn't I? All right, now it's possible that all right, there we go. See, now it's doing like it's supposed to do. So that's what I was trying to say. Someone had asked yesterday about like they half of their mesh. There was like a collision mesh for half of it, and the other half the car was going through it. And I didn't ask if they scaled the item or not. I don't know if the collision mesh was just already messed up when they got it, but this is likely what happened, or a very good possibility.